Hello, hello, hello. We're just getting started with our Wellness Wednesday, week 2 of Minority Mental Health Month. Just gonna wait for Kayla to get here so we can get started. Here we go. Hello, hello. Hi.
Yes.
Hi.
Hello. How are you?
Oh, today.
I am feeling, really take an honest assessment. I feel happy to be having this conversation with you. And I'm feeling good today. I've been missing my friends and loved ones this week. So that's definitely present. That's probably part of why I'm really excited to be talking with you today, because I'm like, oh, I miss people. I miss my people. But in general, I'm good. I'm good. How are you on this fine Wednesday?
I'm tired. I think I said that to you yesterday too. I'm tired. I've been up for way too many hours. My body is just doing this thing where it doesn't want to sleep a lot right now. So, just working and hoping for the best, moving through every day. But outside of that, I feel good. I'm excited about today's conversation as well. And yeah, I just feel, I don't know, this week feels different. I don't know what it is. This week just feels, maybe it's that full moon or something. I don't know.
I know, I'm like, we're post-eclipse. Every other planet wants to be in retrograde. It's just, we're holding a lot right now, for sure. But can feel you on just being tired and navigating as best as possible. I feel you.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll just jump in, I guess. Maybe we'll just say our names real quick so people remember who we are, and then we'll announce our topic for today.
Sounds good. And I'm sorry if it's a little, can you hear a lot of dogs and ruckus?
The dogs?
Yeah. Yes? Okay.
Yeah.
Real quick. You know, it's real community over here. Folks like to be active, so thank you.
I understand. I had to close my door because there's an ice cream truck outside and planes going by.
Yes,
so, you know.
I'll be trying to keep the window open because it gets a little toasty in here, but for y'all, I'm going to close it up.
Right. We do what we can.
We do what we can. But I think even us, introductions, right. Who am I? I'm confused and jumping all over the place, but my name is Kala, and I am a yoga psychotherapist, founder of The Well Healing, all kinds of awesome good stuff. Excited to be here talking about what mental health is looking like within our communities, and just being present with the here and now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm Katrina Long. I am a holistic healing arts therapist in Inglewood, and excited to be here as well, having this conversation throughout the month of July, every Wednesday, just talking about minority mental health, what's going on in our communities, and how we're feeling right now. And then leading up to a wonderful event that Kayla and I will be putting together for you all to join us in some wellness activities together as well. So welcome. Today is week 2. So last week we talked about a lot of stuff. And we basically just asked for some topics that people are interested in. So we got a list of topics. And today we wanted to chat about aligned activism, which I think is such a powerful term in the first place. Like, just aligned activism. It feels good when you say it. It sounds really good, but I don't think it's something that we talk about a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, and thank y'all to everybody who commented or DM'd different topic suggestions. We really appreciate that. And I think us starting with aligned activism, even with us sharing like right now feeling tired or whatever, is like all part
Mm-hmm.
of aligned activism. Which, what exactly is that? I guess to me, when I think about it, I really liked the way that you framed it in terms of like using our gifts.
Mm.
I think very much about like aligned activism being um, a way of like making the BLM movement or whatever that looks like for you as a part of like your life, a life practice versus like an obligatory ally checklist or something, or
Right.
activist checklist that you're doing, and that feels kind of disconnected from
Right.
your life and life purpose. But yeah, what were you thinking of when you think of aligned activism?
I think a lot of that, and I think for me, it came out of these conversations with clients and with friends and family members, just sharing that they feel like they're not doing enough,
Mm-hmm.
that they're not being enough of an activist, that they're not being a good enough Black person,
Mm-hmm.
right? By not being able to be on the streets
Mm-hmm.
protesting, right? If they're not involved in the street protests, then they're not doing enough. They felt like they needed to be doing something else or something more, rather. And so this aligned activism for me was acknowledging that that's not everyone's role, that we all play different roles in all aspects of our lives and all dynamics, and that this movement doesn't have to be any different. So
Mm-hmm.
we figure out what is more fitting for us.
Yeah, yeah. Um,
Yeah.
and I feel like there's so much even to unpack with feeling like we're not doing enough or not
Right.
being I don't know, in a sense, Black enough right now. Like there's so many different things underneath that, but we would have to have a whole workshop and not a quick little kiki on Instagram. But and um I think that that's such an important thing to come back to in terms of like making it a part of your life and your lifestyle, because there is no place where oppression or
Right.
anti-Black violence isn't living and existing, right? So you don't actually need to remove yourself or go out and do something different per se, because it's everywhere, you know?
Yeah.
So showing up in the role of a parent, right? You can be doing
Right.
activist work in your home, or if you are,
Mm.
I don't know, you work for the county disposal system, you can be talking to your coworkers. Like it, activism, I think we have such a very fixed idea of what it looks
Yeah.
like, and for most of us it is like taken to the streets, which is so valid. But I think I've been trying to remind folks like the monster that we're fighting is everywhere. So um yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's what so many of us forget or don't know or don't understand is that, like, you are fighting this every day.
Right.
So just because something has happened and people are starting to recognize it more doesn't mean that you have to shift. The
Mm,
fact that you are being intentional about how you are raising your Black children is really important. And that is just as much of a fight or a part of the fight as the people who choose to go out and protest.
mm-hmm.
Uh, there are several people that I've spoken with who were like, yeah, well, I've been doing stuff for years, participating in the movement for years. And now, for whatever reason, in this moment, they're not able to really be in the streets the way that they would like to.
Yeah.
And they felt like I was setting all of this up, like I was getting everything ready. And then when it came time, like, I can't. I don't have the
Yeah.
energy. I don't feel like it. Or like for whatever reason, health reasons or taking care of other people, whatever the case may be. Like they're just not able to.
Mm.
And I thought that was really interesting as well, because why isn't your role just that you were supposed to set it up?
Mm.
Like, and then
Right.
you pass it off to somebody else to actually do the frontline work at that point. But
Right.
you set it up. Why isn't that enough?
Like
Yeah.
really validating the work that we do, the work that we have done. I can
Yeah.
really identify with that as someone who has done a lot of activist work since, really intentionally, since maybe about 18. And
Mm.
this being like, I have been part of Black Lives Matter LA for a long time. I traveled with them to Ferguson when Mike Brown was murdered, and even it been turning up my undergrad. They know and love me, I'm sure. Um, but in this moment, right, feeling very much like it does not feel aligned right now for me to be physically present on the ground, and to be showing up in ways that I have before. And I
Right.
definitely had a moment of feeling like, well, what's going on? Am I not doing enough? But
Yeah.
that's the beauty of it being aligned, right? Is that your activism gets to be flexible, and it gets to change
Mm-hmm.
and be a part of like what is actually happening for you in that moment. So whether
Right.
you're tired, or you're in a different kind of industry that impacts how you can show up, like that
Right.
still leaves you space still to show up. But yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's unfortunate that we have these internalized standards, because I don't know who else is
Mm-hmm.
identify these standards for us, but that we have these internalized standards
Mm-hmm.
of how we are supposed to show up in our own movement. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that's so interesting that we're just like, oh no, like I have to be doing this because this is what my movement is supposed to look like. And that,
Mm-hmm.
I think, hurts me to some degree, because here you are, and we talked about this a little bit last time. Here you are as a Black person just trying to move through the world, trying to just operate, right? On top of COVID and everything else that's going on right now.
Yeah.
And you're busy spending energy beating yourself
Mm-hmm.
up for this internalized narrative of what it looks like to show up in a movement.
Mm-hmm.
That is your movement, like nobody else's movement but yours.
Right.
And you're expending energy on beating yourself up for that, and that, I don't know, that kind of tears me apart. It breaks my heart that that is where our energy is going and flowing, and that so many people were feeling it, because I was
Mm-hmm.
hearing it from so many
Yeah.
folks. It wasn't just like a couple people here and there. It was so many people
Yeah.
just feeling like I'm not doing enough and I don't know what to do, and I'm scared to go outside, so I can't do anything, and that makes me feel like a bad Black person.
Right.
Like that's I yeah, that just breaks my heart. That's really hard for me to hear and acknowledge. But also I understand.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And the part of it being like our movement, that really stood out to me right now, and reminds me why part of activism, I feel, is a big part of like educating yourself. And that's not to say like go off to college and get a degree, but to
Right.
understand, right, the ways that oppression and anti-Black violence show up. And
Right.
knowing that for me has been where I can return to understand that actually whatever industry, whatever your life looks like, there's a conversation, a Black conversation, an activist, a person of color conversation happening, that can
Mm-hmm.
be addressed. And just the other day, I was watching this video. It was a Black queer poet who was sharing a piece on what it's like to be Black and queer, especially within the Pride
Mm.
movement. And they noted the addition of the Black and brown and the trans blue, white, and pink being added when it's like our movement that we started and
Yeah.
we're being added to. And so that makes me think of just us, like our relationship to our own work. You know what I mean? And what does that
Yeah.
mean for us to be feeling this way about something that is birthed from us, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Right. Like we get to create this in whatever way we see fit and whatever way works for us. And in every home, in every body, in every situation, that might look completely different. And I think that has to be the beauty of it. Um, and I think that that is so important.
Yeah.
Like that is kind of the point. I acknowledge that certain things are just not in my spirit to do. They're just
Right.
not my gift.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
there's certain things that I don't do well. I'm not big on crowds. So me going out to a protest, not my thing.
Yeah.
Not going to work for me. I'm going to walk out of there anxious and agitated. I'm not going.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
just not for me.
Yes.
But I do know that for some folks, that's what they enjoy. That feels good to them. That fills them up. That works for them.
Yeah.
I prefer to be behind the scenes. I'm happy to do therapy with folks who are out there protesting. I'm happy to do therapy with folks who just need to rejuvenate with everything that's going on. And I know that that is my gift. Like I'm providing wellness, I'm providing rejuvenation, I'm providing restoration and a safe place for you to go and like do what you need to do, fill yourself back up, and then go back out in the community and do the work that you do. And then there are some people who like, and I'm so thankful for those folks, whoever y'all are, if you are here, thank you because I appreciate you. But the people who are like all over the trolls, all over the internet, because I also don't have the capacity for that.
Right. Shout out to y'all. Me neither. Me neither.
Right. But if I could go in the comments and y'all are like, oh no, ma'am, like you're wrong. Thank you.
Yes.
I can leave this and be peaceful and be good because somebody else is handling it.
Yes. And that is so important. And like when you're talking, it makes me think like part of the work then is we have to be self-aware about where do you shine? Like what is your lane so that you can integrate, you know, these conversations into wherever you're already at. And without that awareness, it is going to be hard to know like where to fit in because you don't have a sense of this is what I'm really, really strong at. I definitely feel you. I have recognized that right now, like in my political practice, that as a metaphor, if this was a war, like I'm the medic, like that's where I need to be so that the folks who come back have somebody there ready to support and take care of them, because this is a marathon. This is the marathon continues, and we say
right.
It's going to be something that is not. We have to be in our gifts and our power because this is something that is going to be continuous. This isn't going to be, you know, a 2020 highlight or Black Spirit Week when everybody, you know, was woke for 7 days. The work is long-standing and requires us to know and be able to shift and change, right, with ourselves and one another about what showing up looks like. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And I think part of like learning, because as you were talking, I'm like, so I could picture people listening to this conversation and being like, so what do I do if I don't know what's in alignment for me? Right? Like, what do I do if I don't know what alignment looks like? So in my mind, when I picture alignment or what it feels like for me in my body is oftentimes it takes less of my energy. Like it's not as overwhelming. It's not as draining for me. And then also it's something that brings me joy. Like I feel good doing it. And so for instance, like I said, therapy, that works for me. Like I could sit down with clients all day long and be good. Yes, sometimes it's tiring, but at the end of the day, I have more joy. There are days in this movement where I've walked into therapy, I was crying all morning, like having a hard time, and walked into therapy. By the time I was done with 3 to 4 clients, I was rejuvenated. I felt good. I felt like I got just as much healing as they did out of that
Mm-hmm.
session. And so I think noticing what feels right in your body. What are the things that you're automatically drawn to, that you
Yeah.
do, that people are like, oh, this person does this well? Like,
Mm.
paying attention to those things. For
Yeah.
some people, it's art and music. For some people, it's cooking. Like, the people who are protesting need to eat, so feed them.
Listen, yes, yes,
Yes.
yes, 1,000%.
Yeah.
That makes me think of, for folks who like books or projects, things to research, of Pleasure Activism, which is written by
Mm.
author Adrienne Marie Brown. And
Yes.
that book is what really opened me up to the political power of pleasure and of joy, because that's
Yes.
part of, right, like how you know this is my lane, because when you're in your lane, you're
Yes.
cruising, you feel good, you feel like I know what I'm doing, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And that was a book that was so helpful for me to understand that being an activist doesn't mean being miserable and being required to do everything. I know for me, like, organizing, strategic planning, like, you know what I mean? I'd rather somebody that doesn't give me pleasure, joy. I don't
Yeah.
feel in my gift in the same way as, right, getting to support folks
Right.
who are maybe doing that same work. Um, and I also, on thewellhealing.com, have a workbook that is Power and Purpose. And it
Yes.
takes you through different questions and activities to get a sense of, first off, just what is your relationship to even feeling empowered in your purpose? And then what are the things that bring you to that place? So the question you just asked of, like, when do I
Yes.
feel my best? And when do I feel, what are things that people have told me, you're really good at this? Like, helping to identify,
Yes.
right, what aligned activism would actually look like for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that that workbook could be so useful in so many areas of life, but specifically in this moment, how it can be so useful for people to, again, find their power and be able to move forward instead of beating ourselves up
Yeah.
for, not showing up in the way that we feel like we should be showing up, or the way that other people are expecting us to show up.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, please go get her workbook. It's on her website, thewellhealing.com.
Yeah.
I'll put the website in the comments when we drop the video as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
really, just noticing as you navigate your day, when do you
Yeah.
find yourself most at ease? You know what I mean? And paying attention to what you're doing or who you're with, because that might be the
Right.
place where you can have these vulnerable conversations, do this really difficult work. Um, because activism is something that we are all capable of doing. And
Absolutely.
that's the thing too. I think maybe some folks think an activist is somebody who is read all these books and
Right.
is able to use all this political jargon, and F that. I'm trying to F that. You know what I mean? That's not. It's folks who are on the ground, who have so much to say. We all do. We all have a role to play. Like, that's
Yes.
the point, right, of, I feel, our conversation today, is there is a way, there is space for all of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I think a couple things, like, to end everything and kind of wrap it up,
Yeah.
but to just remind people also that whatever that is does not have to be your career.
Ooh.
Like, maybe you are a therapist by day, but that does not fill you up, and you I don't know, you garden in the evening, and that's your way of like that brings you joy, and you provide sustenance to the people around you and your community, and
Mm,
that is more of a thing that you do that fills you up. Like it does not have to be your career,
yes.
even if you are in a social justice field, even if you are in a social service field. I think that's so important for us to acknowledge, because a lot of times we feel like, oh, like I'm a social service worker, this is supposed to be how I show up. It doesn't have to
Mm,
be. What you do during the day doesn't have to be the thing that brings you joy and that
yes.
is a part of how you show up in this fight. And then
Yes.
the second thing that I also wanted to know is that it can change in every moment.
Mm,
That you might wake up today and today it feels like doing therapy with somebody, and tomorrow it might feel like being at a protest,
yes.
and both of those things are okay. And sometimes it just feels like taking a nap because I'm tired and I just need to rest, and
Yes.
I can't continue to fight the fight if I'm not rested and rejuvenated and taking care of myself, or
Period.
taking care of my children and making sure that my family is safe. Like all of those things are a part of the fight, and so just remembering that it can shift in every moment depending on what your needs are, and it doesn't have to look like what your career is on a day-to-day basis.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. And the
Yeah.
very last thing I will add to that too is that there is an awesome post floating around that talks about uh, your activist love language. It is
Mm.
such a useful way of, again, finding your lane and creating aligned activism. And I'll try to make sure that we
Yeah.
can have folks be able to find that somehow too. But it's the post going through maybe words of affirmation is how you feel
I love
best.
that.
So you're amplifying voices or you're sharing information. Maybe it's gift giving, so you're donating or providing
Yeah.
resources. Just really, really practical ways to, again,
I love
show up in the
that.
ways that are most authentic. Yeah, so we'll have to share that too.
Yeah, absolutely. Send it over and I can put the link in the video
Yeah,
description as well.
awesome, awesome.
Yes, yes, yes,
Well, this was
yes. Thank
great.
you so
I,
much for this conversation.
yes, no, I'm
It
feeling
was so good.
rejuvenated and
Yeah.
aligned too. So this is awesome. This is awesome.
Yeah.
Thank y'all,
Yeah.
everybody, for coming through, for all the love. Thank you,
Yeah.
Katrina. This was
I think
awesome.
I would love to hear from the community,
Yeah.
when the video drops, like what are the things that bring you joy, or what does aligned activism look like for you?
Yes.
Because I think it would be also really helpful for other people to see the way that aligned activism shows up in other people's lives, because maybe it's something we haven't thought of that we do on a daily basis and we're realizing is activism and we think it's not. So drop it in the comments. Like, what is
Yes.
aligned activism for you? What are the things that bring you joy, that you are utilizing to fight this fight?
Boom. Period. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
All right. Do you have anything special going on that you want to share with the people? Any events or anything going on? I forgot to ask you that last week.
Yeah. An excellent
Um,
question. Uh,
so what do I
I'll be
have going
chilling.
on? Okay.
Y'all know where to find me, and I will update if anything comes up. But thank you. Do you?
Yeah, absolutely. Um, I always have a million things going on.
Yes.
But in particular, this Sunday, I am working with a organization called Summer Solstice LA, and we're doing a Zoom event. So it's online. Everybody, all women of color are welcome, and we're going to be doing self-care in real life.
Yes.
We are going to do a Reiki infused meditation for some rest and relaxation. We're going to do some journaling and just have a community discussion. Very similar to this conversation, actually, about um, what it feels like to be run down, but also feel like you should be fighting and doing something. And so, how do we create a holistic plan, a holistic care plan, so that you can be well during this time, but also community discussion to just acknowledge that we're all in the same place and the things that we can do to kind of love on each other and fill each other up. So that is this
Yes.
Sunday. I'll put the link is in my bio, Summer Solstice LA event. It's called Restoration and Self-Care in Real Life. So
Yes.
come and join me Sunday if you have time. I would love to see y'all there.
Y'all better hop into that. Keep this care going. That sounds incredible.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, what do you have going on that you're doing to take care of yourself this week?
Ooh, this week I am intentionally moving slowly because I
Mm,
recognize that my body and my mind need a little more space and transition. So I'm allowing myself to move
absolutely.
slowly. And for you,
Absolutely. I decided not to take on any Reiki clients this afternoon and evening, so I will be resting for the rest of the day. I have a little bit of work that I'm going to be doing, but I'm going to be sitting on my couch eating chips and watching TV while I do it.
yes.
Might crack open a bottle of wine.
Yes. Okay.
Because it's been a
Necessary.
week, it's been a month, it's been a year. So I might open a bottle of wine and just have a good time. And if I doze off in the meantime, okay, because I've been up since 5 o'clock. So
Listen, but
that's
you
my
do
self care.
that. Much deserved. Much deserved. And
Yeah.
y'all out there, take care as well. And
Yes.
again, please share with us, what does aligned activism look like for you? So excited to see and hear what that's looking like in the community.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. I will see you Wednesday.
I will see you next Wednesday. See you all.
Time, 1:30, Pacific time. Come join us. We don't know what it will be yet, but we'll announce it soon.
Yep. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. All right. Bye,
All right. Have a
everybody.
good one.